Let's briefly discuss why risk is often more predictable than returns. Here's a graph of 60 asset classes from 1970 to 2015 with average annual return going up and down on the left-hand side. What we're now going to do is we're going to overlay the standard deviation, or the risk, on the right-hand side. And what we can see is, at the very low end, when you increase risk, you get increasing returns. But very quickly, average annual returns actually level out. Over this whole segment, the average annual returns are basically constant. All you're doing is taking more risk. And what you can see is, at extreme levels of risk, your returns are really all over the board. But you're not compensated for taking more risk than right around here. This shows the range of outcomes over 3-year periods, the high side and the low side. What we can see is, as your risk increases, your range of outcomes increases. This yellow line is your average annual returns. It flatlines. That's not what's increasing with higher risk. Your range of outcomes is increasing. Risk is so much more constant than return. It's so much more predictable. We have a much greater ability to choose our range of outcomes, and that's really choosing our risk. Risk is so much more predictable than returns, and this is really what we should be focusing on. Here we show rolling 10-year periods from 1970 to 2016. We show it for the S&P 500, which are the red dots, and for that diversified portfolio that we talk about so much. This purple dot is the 47-year average for the S&P 500. But over any given 10-year period, your range of returns are all over the map. We can see that that diversified portfolio had a very similar long-term average return, but the range of outcomes was much tighter. You were much more certain to get close to the long-term average because you've reduced your risk, you've reduced your range of outcomes. Here's our asset class references and disclosures, and our disclaimer and confidentiality. Feel free to reach out to us to discuss this in more detail.